Hello, I'm a very casual player of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm kind of frustrated how there isn't a casual format in any real sense. Like, people play with casual cards, but as a widespread, there isn't really a casual format. So I really wanted in this video to try to establish one. This is not something I can truly do alone. I need people to either try to join this with me in my way to make a casual format or spread the word and make this something you establish yourself. I was very inspired by the 6v6 single Pokemon tournaments and how they structure their way of using every single Pokemon without having every single Pokemon be in same tier. And I like how it's set up. It's set up in like a pyramid where they have Ubers, overused, underused, rarely used, never used, and PU, which I have no idea what that means. I looked it up, I couldn't find. If you can tell me what PU means, I don't know. I couldn't think of anything that would be under never. So that's something I've seen in some. Some don't have PU, some do. I don't. And I think I can take that and spin it in Yu-Gi-Oh's, and somehow in a Yu-Gi-Oh sense, because I think in this sense there are all these type of tiers in Yu-Gi-Oh where there's cards that are overused, underused, rarely used, or never used. But I don't want to call them that, so I replaced these 6 tiers with my own type because I don't want to just steal another format. But what I'm going to call these 6 tiers, I'm going to call, well, we already have a term for Uber. That's meta. This would be the top of the top. You know meta. Some things I might classify in this video might not be meta to you, but to the whole grand scheme of Duel Links, I might consider them to be a meta. Like, it might be in the wheelhouse. It might not be in the top 3 tiers, but I consider it. They're fighting in the same league there. So underneath meta is Fallen Champions, FC. I think that is a nice name for the things that are underneath meta, because either they got to meta's door and just were rejected by being too weak, or they were at meta's door and then got rejected because they are too weak now and they become fallen champions. And then underneath that is a little mid. You're a little mid. You're starting to become like you're kind of powerful. There's duels where you do work, you're good, but when you get above platinum, you're a little mid. You're gonna lose like 60% of your duels because your deck kind of just sucks. And underneath little mid, very mid, like you are suffering in gold a lot of these times. Like, your deck really is. The only reason your deck is actually good is because you have a skill driving you home every single time. And you, like, without the skill, you're just very mid. These are like the C student type stuff. Like, you're gonna get something effective, but like, against something that's actually good, you're gonna get absolutely destroyed. And then underneath very mid is utterly trash. I think if you are even below, you are C minus, D plus, like, you got an idea and you're just trying to beat someone over the head with your attack points with no thought. You're kind of utterly trash. Like, that's kind of what's here. And then underneath utterly trash is abandoned souls, because what's truly worse than the trash? Being forgotten about entirely. I think it's a fitting name for what's supposed to be underneath, never used, whatever PU stands for. And I divided all of these tiers into 3 different categories. The thing is, you can't just put them into one thing. Like in Pokemon, you can just put them in all these tiers and be like, alright, good job, we're set up. But Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of in a more complex type of situation, because there's kind of 3 things going on. There's skills, archetypes, and generally great cards that are just printed out just to help those so-so decks become kind of a platinum or legend, just to stay relevant. Like, an example of a really powerful generic is Forbidden Droplet is probably the most powerful generic card in Duel Links right now. It has the power to negate as many cards as you send. So I guess those people just put it in just because it's a good card and don't actually realize that you need to send cards from your hand to your field. And sometimes that can be a double-edged sword when they're already exhausted for resources and have to give up the resources just to stop you from progressing. And so I have made a tier. I've actually put every single tier for every single one of these three categories that I'll start putting up now. You have to put these cards in their own categories, especially skills. Like, there's a lot of skills. I can go down the list, but like they basically sum up of meta, the skills doing everything for you, and you're so powerful because the skill made you so. It doesn't matter that there's restrictions that you're only playing this category of monsters or cards, because that's what you'd probably play anyways. And then Fallen Kingdom are like the skills that maybe used to be meta. They're strong, but they're beatable. If you're good and you beat these skills, like you're up there. You're up there, especially for not using one of these skills. Like, these skills are beatable, but they are strong. And if you don't have a skill yourself, you could probably just lose because these skills are still pretty good. And then Little Mid is like just a bunch of draw card. Like, there's so many draw skills. There's like 752 skills that I ranked, and a lot of them are draw skills and how much they're random or they give you the card. And depending on if I put it in little mid or very mid was about how focused you can draw and pick the card you want. And then when you get to utterly trash, they're all the skills that are literally just, they hurt you so much. The skill that I think is the biggest staple of utterly trash is the Gate Guardian skill. That puts you down to 500 life points. It only gives you the Gate Guardian in your hand. You do get all the 3 pieces of the Gate Guardian on the field, but if you go first, now most of the time they're going to destroy most of your field before you even get a chance. And if you go first, honestly, the skill just makes it just like going to like 3 avenues that you can go into that'll probably not work in this climate. And then I don't think many skills are actually in Abandoned Souls. Like, Abandoned Souls is just for, like, the absolute characters that are the worst. And you know the characters are the worst in Duel Links. Like, probably Scud has some skills in Abandoned Souls. Most of his skills are probably utterly trash, because Scud is not a great character. He's just a guy that I don't even know how he even is in Duel Links. But when you go into archetypes, like, I'll post archetypes as well. All of these also are going to be in my Discord, so you could go into my Discord, check a PDF of all of these, and actually see them for yourself instead of just have to go back to the video and check. There will be a way so you can look at all of these. I didn't put every single card for generic cards because I feel like I'm one man. I can't just go through thousands of generic cards that are not part of an archetype and be like, hey, yes, this one, that one, that one. Even though I do have 999 like cards on Duel Links, I don't feel like going through 999 and putting them all on this list, because honestly I want you to show me how it can be overpowered. But I don't know if I explained this, but how this would work is, so if you have like a pyramid, you have the meta on top, you can play anything underneath it. So Fallen Kingdom can't play anything in the meta realm, and for this, like, it makes sense, like anything below it, because supposedly these cards are so overpowered in this, or put in this own league, that if you have any card that's supposed to be ranked under it, is not going to beat it, supposedly, on paper. I want you to show me in a casual setting that how this can beat that for it to get a higher league, or have I overrank something and have it get chucked down. Because let's say you're playing in very mid, you can only use that utterly trash and Abandoned Souls. At that point, there's a lot of all the good stuff is stripped away, and now you have to use anything from what you use it as a fundamental beginner to whatever that you've learned from that. And I think that's 100% that can birth the thought process for a new way of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think this could help. I would really like if this caught on, because I think this is a good way to gauge a casual play. I tried to do this like 3 months ago and just say, hey, come to my server, it's a casual setting, and it didn't work because who's gonna believe just some guy just says it's casual? And two, the people that did show up got beaten by the one person that two people that play meta, you know who you are, but they got beaten so bad that they went back to the comment section on that video, was preaching to the hills that my whole video was a sham and they're just lambs to the slaughter to the meta players. It was bad, and I think most people can't have a gauge for meta, or everyone thinks that if you don't play meta, you're fine. But there's literally just another ring underneath meta, and I just want to play the garbage, like 2 rings underneath that. And I just don't think, like, some of these archetypes, it's really fair to just have them fight the best of the best. Because that's kind of not what they're meant for. They're meant for fun. And I think I'm going to sign off on all I want to say. If you want to talk about these more, I honestly would like to talk about it in my Discord more than me just try to explain in a video that could go over your head, or I might not be explaining it right. But I think these tiers are a great way to make a casual setting. So I don't think I did the best, like, grade A job of putting all these in tier. I think I for skills, I did take a long time putting 700 skills in the tier list, because that's the most important part, putting the skills in check more than the archetypes and the generic cards, because I want you guys play through cards to the point where I have to readjust, or you could show me duels where you say, no, I consistently beat this skill with this, and I think it should be lower, or so on and so forth. But join my Discord. There's also a thing I'm trying to do where I make an actual casual lounge Discord. Like, how you would actually get in that is if you join my Discord and then you challenge me, and then if I'm impressed by how casual you play, or I'm having fun dueling you, or you show me something I have never seen before, which is hard. I have 25,000 duels under my belt in Duel Links. The odds you're going to show me something I haven't seen before is very, very low. But I think that's all I have to say. I hope to see you in my Discord. Bye-bye.